Amen. You know, early on that resurrection morning, 3 women followers of Jesus had many surprises waiting for them. So shall we hear about it? I think Helen's going to come and read for us.
Yes, it's Matthew 28, verses 1 to 10. Jesus has risen. After the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and, going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples. He has risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you." So the women hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them. "Greetings," he said. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." Thanks be to God.
I always love hearing about how those women were so surprised. And, there's a surprise, isn't there, with butterflies? So, hey, who knows about the cocoon? Who knows what happens with caterpillars? You ever got a hand up? Hey, do you know? Do you want to tell me?
They turn into butterflies.
Oh, fantastic! The caterpillars turn into butterflies. And it's a little bit like Jesus going into that tomb and being kind of wrapped up. That's what happens, isn't it, to the caterpillars? They wrap themselves up as a chrysalis and then they break out into beautiful butterflies, and Jesus broke out of his tomb. And we've got a lot of butterflies around the church this morning. We've got them all on our seats, and hey, they're all decorated around, and a little bit later we're going to use some butterflies for our prayer time. Is an amazing creature, one that literally transforms from a caterpillar. Now, I looked up in the dictionary what that word transformation actually means, and it said a change or alteration, especially a radical one. And the Cambridge Dictionary said a complete change in the appearance or character of someone so that person is improved. Well, hey, a caterpillar undergoes an incredible transformation, and it's one with a purpose, isn't it? That caterpillar becomes a butterfly. And of course, in the resurrection account of Jesus, we know that he undergoes an incredible transformation from death to life, and with the purpose that he can offer that same transformation to each one of us. So this morning, are you a caterpillar or are you a butterfly? Have you known the transformation of the resurrection of Jesus? Have you lived it? Have you experienced it? Or are you still in your cocoon? Well, if you know what it is to be transformed because Jesus lives today, then it should make all the difference to your enthusiasm, to your evangelism, and to your everyday living. Now, 1957, All right, a bit of a time ago. You never know. I'll be a cheeky here. Some of you might remember this song. There is a song called What a Difference a Day Makes. Yeah, do we know that one? It sold more than 2 million copies. And I heard it on the radio the other day in the car, and it brought it home to me. And I thought, when I think of that song, I realized the greatest day in history was the day that Jesus Christ came forth from the tomb. And what a difference that day made. But I want to ask you the question today. What difference has that day made to you? Let's take a look together at how the resurrection transforms us. So, firstly, the resurrection of Jesus transforms our enthusiasm. It does. Look enthusiastic, folks. Seriously, though. Notice how the two disciples on the road to Emmaus, after Jesus had appeared to them, and we read in Luke chapter 4, were our hearts not burning within us? That's enthusiasm, isn't it? Yeah? Having your hearts burning within you? I'll have some of that, please. We see Peter a little bit later going from a coward at the fire to be a bold preacher speaking in front of hundreds of people. And how did that happen? Because Peter knew that Jesus was alive. The resurrection of Jesus makes a difference to the enthusiasm you have. Without it, life would be gloomy, dark, a dead-end street. But because of Jesus, we can't help but get excited, can we, when we think of Jesus coming out of that grave? The word enthusiasm comes from the Greek entheos, meaning to be in God. So when you get into God, you get enthusiastic. And it's the kind of enthusiasm that's not affected by the economy or the weather. It's eternal because it's tied to the eternal God. You are in Christ. Good news? Yeah, turn to your neighbor and say, good news. Secondly, the resurrection transforms our evangelism. When we read about Paul's experience in the jail in Acts 16, we see him singing, praying, and witnessing. Why? Because he had someone to sing about, someone to pray to, and someone to witness of. If the resurrection has made a real difference in our life, we will want to proclaim Jesus to the world. We have to tell them that Jesus can save them, that he can rescue failed marriages, that he can give them the power to kick the alcohol habit, that he can encourage them to get rid of the garbage in their life, that he can change their lives around. We believe that, right? And if Jesus can do that, because Jesus overcame the grave, and if he did that, he can do anything. And if we've experienced that, and we know that his resurrection has transformed us, once we were that way, and now we're this way, we've tasted his amazing grace for ourselves, we will evangelize with passion and with power. How can we not? Hey, turn to your neighbor and say, how can we not? How can we not? And thirdly, the resurrection transforms our everyday lives. We notice how the resurrection of Jesus changed the lives of those early Christians. They were involved in prayer, in Bible study, in worship, and in witnessing every day. They were the same on Monday as they were on Sunday. And they shared their lives together. And they shared Jesus with just about anyone and everyone they could. D.L. Moody was walking down a street one day when he met a little girl who was scared of an approaching storm. The sky was dark and black. And she said, "Mr. Moody, the world is coming to an end." And he just said, "That's all right, honey, we can live without it. This isn't our home, we're just passing through. There's a better world waiting for us." The resurrection makes that much of a difference to us. It transforms the way we live every day, because now we live with hope and a purpose. And instead of being stuck on the ground, crawling around like caterpillars, we can be transformed and fly and be set free. Our sights are now set on heaven. For when Jesus says, "I am the resurrection and the life," we can believe him because he has proved that it's true. What a difference a day makes. Look, let me share with you stories of some real people who know this to be true. We're going to have a video, thanks Steve, and some of these people you might recognise, so keep a lookout.
Knowing that Jesus is alive, to me, means that he is who he said he was, and that everything he said is true. And that can make a difference to my life, and I can trust him with my life, now and forever. And it's as simple as that.
For me, the cross is all about hope and comfort. It is a constant reminder that I am forgiven. I am not a member of cancel culture. I've not been cancelled by God. I have been forgiven even though I don't deserve it. And because of that, I can live free in his love to serve him.
It just means everything. I love him so much. He has made my life so full of excitement. He has made my life so full of joy. Although often we've been through a roller coaster ride, whether it's down or up, he has always made a way through, and I'm just so truly grateful.
Knowing Jesus is risen and alive changes everything. His comforting presence is with me. Like it was with the first disciples when, after he rose from the dead, he said to them, "I am with you always, to the end of the age." And that has changed my world. It's changed the direction of my life in many points in my life. And it changes the whole landscape that you live in. So the values, many of the world's values are turned upside down, and everything is seen in a new light. And although things can get tough in life, and there's tragedy and loss, in the end there is redemption and new life and eternal life.
Jesus is alive in the creativity and immersive experiences here at Kingdom Kids. Jesus is alive with the blessing of so many families coming to our church. Jesus is alive in our everyday life. We open our hearts and be a bit more Jesus-like. God bless.
Hey, thank you everyone who took part in that. This Resurrection Day, let Jesus rising from the dead transform you. May he fill you with his enthusiasm. May he encourage you to evangelize in his name. And may he change your everyday lives. So be transformed and live. We're going to sing now together of that life, summed up in our worship song, Living Hope, where we know this day where our hope is. It's in Jesus, isn't it? Because he's alive.